contrast worldly masculinity to biblical masculinity?
It's really simple. Like, one looks like Jesus and one doesn't. And Jesus is the perfect picture of masculinity. When you walk with Jesus as a man, it's not having to prove yourself. It's being able to sit with him and him saying, you're my son. Where the world masculinity, it says you need to do this to be masculine. That's not from God's kingdom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
His kingdom is so freeing of I am, therefore I do. It's not what I do is therefore who I am. And man, it's so freeing when it's like, my dad loves me and he created me and he's proud of me.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I am joined here today with my husband, Jonathan, and we have with us author and actor, Cody Bobay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
And thank you for being here as
Absolutely.
well. When I found out about Cody being here, I was like, it would be a crime not to have my husband here. And I feel like the conversation is going to be so much better having you here.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Hey, don't mess it up.
Yeah, exactly.
He won't. So let's just jump right into your testimony.
Yeah.
You did not grow up around church at all, it sounded like.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah, so, thank you guys for having me on your podcast. I look forward. I'm glad to get to know you, and I look forward to get to know you more. And you as well, Rebecca. My story is a little different than most, but I was raised with my dad and my brother, and I'm 40 years old. So when I was raised with my dad and my brother in that time, it was not as common as it is today, unfortunately, to have a divorced home. So when you're a kid trying to find out who you are in this life, and you're explaining to people, and you get invited over to birthday parties and different events, and they're like, oh, so tell us about your family. You know, like, what do your parents do for work? And, my dad did this. And what about your mom? And then they find out they were divorced, and I lived with my dad. Everybody started to have red flags of like, oh, there must be something wrong with this kid. And, as parents do, like, I'm intentional with my kids now of like, what do their parents believe? What's their infrastructure in their house?
Yeah.
For me, I have two teenagers now of like, what do their parents allow and what don't they allow? Well, like, my household anything was allowed. So it was really, I became an outcast. Even though I was like really popular in school, I was an outcast with the people I wanted to be accepted by, which is like their family vacation, like friend vacations. And I saw this life being lived. And it drove me when I was 13 to, I started drinking, and I realized that alcohol was a great tool to numb my brain from some of that pain. And then I started to party really hard. And partying was like, always for me, it was about brotherhood, because I loved hanging out with the guys. I loved the getting drunk and going and getting in a fight and then talking about it afterwards. Like, it was just really a thrill. Anybody that says it's not fun or a good time, they've never done it, and they're lying. Like, if they have done it, they're trying to be like, oh, I'm going to be a good Christian, say that that's not fun. It's a good time. And you get to know who your brother. There's an element of masculinity that's like really different and cool with that. So I was searching for that. I wanted that cool, and I fell too far into it. And it was then I remember like I was having sex, thinking about like the brotherhood, which is strange. Of like my guys are going to think I'm cooler for this moment, and then I would do things afterwards to like females' reputations that I was super sad about. And my guys thought it was funny, and my, brotherhood. And I started to really hate who I was becoming.
So you were really, it sounds like, searching for almost a family within your friends.
Yeah.
And a community.
Yeah.
You had a deep longing for that.
Yeah, I really think every man is longing, every woman, but I know like the area that God has called me to is like creating content for the masculine soul. I know men are longing for acceptance. And hey, I'm going to have your back, you have my back, and let's go take on whatever mission we're going to do. And it's fun. Like when you know, like, I can trust you, you can trust me, we're going to go have some fun and accomplish what we set out for, and you're not going to run when the fight starts. There's that freedom there that Christ made in the masculine soul. But if Christ isn't king of that, and he wasn't king of anything of my soul in high school, junior high, high school, you can end up like me, to where you're celebrated externally by people and you are popular and you're going through these things, but you're you're going through a miserable life internally. And I just remember like I'd go to parties and like we'd have a great time and we'd go home and I'd still be the guy that couldn't sleep really well. And I'd be drunk and high. And I'd look at myself in the mirror and be like, I hate who you've become.
Yeah. And you said growing up, there was kind of this sense in you that you wanted to be a good person, but you just didn't know how.
Yeah. Like I think this is why, like, so I'm an actor now. If you really want to play a bad guy, which I try to play the action hero in all my roles, but there's been a lot of bad guys in auditions I could connect with because every bad guy that I've been around and seen, they think they're doing good work. And now, not everyone, but a lot of them, like the interesting side of a good bad guy on film is that they think they're accomplishing something effective for the good of humanity. And I went down a tough road. And I think a lot of people can relate with the partying lifestyle, thinking like, oh, for men, I think I'm going to find masculinity. But if Christ isn't the king of that, you're going to end up with nothing. And you end up like me, staring at yourself in the mirror saying, I hate who I've become, but I had no idea how to get out of it. So I thought the military was how I was going to become a good person. So I was looking at all my options for college, and the military had this sign called the United States Navy, be someone special. And I was like, man, I want to be someone special. Like, I want to actually be significant rather than somebody who like, is more of a womanizer with, and that's not who I wanted to be ever, but I thought, I couldn't stay faithful in relationships at all, and I would cheat, and the partying lifestyle is conducive to unhealthy relationships, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to fight guys all the time and do that unnecessarily, and I'm still a fan of eliminating evil, but unnecessarily is a waste of time. So I joined the military to think that I could be a good person by joining the U.S. Navy.
What was it like when you first joined? Was it what you expected to be? Did you feel like pretty quickly you're like, this isn't fulfilling this? What was it like for you?
Yeah, it was really interesting because once you join the military, all of a sudden you're stripped like naked, metaphorically and physically. Like your haircut changes, you get a buzz cut. You're showering with 80 guys all the time. There's a spigot in the middle and 12 guys shower around. I think 12 guys are on one thing, but it's for the, like, let's get naked and vulnerable and like, let's suffer together. So the concept is really cool. But as a man that doesn't know who you are, I found myself measuring my masculinity with everybody and physically, metaphorically, everything. And
kind of like comparing yourself.
Yeah. Like, I want to do more push-ups than this guy. And I want to get better grades in the classroom than this guy. And, it led me down the path of trying to be good without knowing the source of good. And I fell right back into it, actually heavier than before. So we finished boot camp, and I ended up helping lead the group of guys in boot camp.
So you were a leader there?
Yeah. I almost got in a fight with our drill sergeant in boot camp because I didn't know, but like he came up to me. He woke me up at like, we got to bed at 2:00. At 4:00, he was kicking the trash can and it hit my rack. And he was a shorter man, and I stood up, and I have a fight, either fight or flight. I'm just like a fight, and especially I have 2 hours of sleep, and you kick my thing.
You're exhausted.
I don't know these rules of boot camp yet. And he saw it in me, and he's like, oh, I'll make you the leader. And he thought I was going to fail, but we did really success. I was the leader of them the whole time, which was cool. But I saw what guys were looking for in a leader. And again, masculinity is interesting when Christ is not the king of masculinity. It's a constantly evolving, and you see it on social media with these like people that are just into, hey, I just ran a marathon. Well, next I'm going to run a 100-mile race. Next I'm going to run 240. I just did 100 push-ups. I'm going to do 1,000 push-ups, and I'm going to do 1,000 pull-ups in a day. It's this thing you're chasing after and never satiated with, and I saw that in the military.
What would you say men are looking for in a leader?
Yeah, well, my favorite scene of any movie is in Braveheart, where William Wallace comes up and he's like, if you would just show them courage, they would follow you. Like if you would have that, these guys would follow you. And I think men just want to see courage in another man.
The other scene that rivals that one, coincidentally, also Mel Gibson, is in The Patriot.
Oh my God.
When the firstborn son's taken prisoner. I hope I don't cry right now.
You do it. It's so good.
But when he tells Caleb, go get the guns,
Yeah.
and throws one to both boys, and that scene right there gets me every time.
Every time.
Because those two boys become men right in that moment.
Yeah.
As he takes them. Do you know what scene I'm talking about?
Yeah, we just watched it.
Oh man, it's so powerful.
It is powerful.
And that is where, like, when masculinity is handed down, or when the pressures coming onto a family through war, whatever that is, that pressure's coming, men will follow the guy that shows courage. And courage isn't ignorance of fear. It's high level awareness, but showing bravery in the face of it.
I don't want to go out of the story yet.
No, go. This is interesting.
Talk. You're in the boot camp and you're the leader of it, but you're still struggling with, I don't know, inside your
identity
wrestling.
and purpose
and fulfillment. Tell us what happens next.
Yeah. So it was really hard because I, made some amazing relationships with guys and just wondering, like, who am I? And I had no idea who I was. I knew who I didn't want to be, and I kept doing those things. Like after the military, I'm like, I'm not going to use God's name in vain, because I was irritated with how much I was. And I'll never forget. And I didn't know God at all. I was like, why am I cussing his name so much?
That's interesting that you had like this internal reverence without even having that personal relationship yet.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah.
Like, because when I went in the military, they ask you, like, what religion do you want on your dog tags? And I said Christian. Because I just remember thinking, I had a sport bike, a crotch rocket, and I had an ichthus fish on the back of it, and I literally bought it in high school because I'm like, man, if I crash on this thing, I need that, like, if God's real, I'm going to ask him to save me.
Yeah.
I got this fish.
Gotta have the fish on the bumper.
Like, I need to rub this fish and blow, and then I'm saved.
Yeah.
I have no idea what I'm doing, but they asked, like, what do you want on your dog tag? And I said Christian. And I think so many men that I've been in conversation with, they all know when the going gets really, really rough, who God really is. And I was like, I'm not going to use God's name in vain. And it was so mind-blowing to me. About 3 weeks later, I was using his name in vain more than I ever had in my entire life. And I'm like, what is happening? And I couldn't stop it. So yeah, I went from that through my training and my schooling. And it was, to be a naval air crewman, there's an interesting pipeline you have to go through. And there's a lot of like now I'm married with 2 kids. I don't have a lot of free time. Then you're 18 with nothing, like no responsibilities. So you have a ton of free time. But that's where I found myself just going into that partying lifestyle again. Because the guys, like, if you're going to lead guys and be with leaders and you're in the military, like, let's go out and party.
After, right?
Yeah. Let's work hard and play harder.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that kind of builds a camaraderie.
Yeah. And that's what we did. So spring break 2004 came, and we were all of my buddies and like guys that were going to be special forces to naval air crewmen to rescue swimmers. We all went down to Panama City for spring break and partied our guts out. And it was the echelon of like what you can do as a man, really in our world at that time and now in partying. And I hit rock bottom. One of my buddies, one of my best friends, got in a fight. He got jumped by 6 guys, and I wasn't there with him. I knew nothing about it, but I was so drunk in our hotel room, I couldn't do anything if I knew that was happening. And like that's the core of what I wanted to be, is that person that would help people in time of need. And I mean, he almost got beat to death. So it was really a violent, 6 guys against 1. Those are pretty rough odds.
Yeah.
So that you don't typically win those unless you're in an action movie.
Right.
But in real life, you don't win those. So the going after the highs, I hit rock bottom, and I'll never forget the moment of seeking. It was Tuesday afterwards. So we got back, went to training on Monday. On Tuesday afternoon, I had a little window of time, and I was just there, like broken. And I went into my barracks room, and I opened this Bible, and I got on my knees. And I had no idea that you get on your knees. It was just like I'm falling in submission. If you're, and
again, that reverence piece was just kind of inside of you.
Yeah, like nobody told me this is what you do.
Right.
It was the reverence, and it was the most genuine conversation I've ever had of, God, if you're real, I'll live for you. And this is my conversation. I've always been good at picking fights, not really great at finishing them. And I'm having this conversation with the King of Kings. So there was no like Romans Road prayer here. But if you're real, I will tell everybody about you that I can. And when I finish that prayer, and I tell people like it was the best high I've ever had through every fiber of my being.
Wow.
I experienced what heaven's going to be like someday. Like that moment of, oh, there's no need of anything else. You feel amazing. So I was just like, I met God. I knew everything had changed, but I didn't know 2 Corinthians 5:17. Right. I knew everything changed in my life. And I ran over, it's called, your bathroom's called your head in the Navy, and it's called your headmate. I ran over to him and I was like, dude, I just met God. And he looked at me like, you're crazy. His response was, you're probably still drunk. And I was like, no, man. Like, God just changed everything in my life. Like, I met him. Like, I have no idea.
And how old are you at this point?
18.
So you're still 18.
Yeah.
So fresh into the military.
Yeah, so fresh in the military. And it was really, really cool, man. Like, God changed a lot in my heart in like one moment, made me new, but did not give me. And my journey, and what we'll dive into more is like the work of sanctification. Salvation changed me.
Right.
But I still had the same hippocampus in my brain of all those images and all those memories. And I still had my prefrontal cortex and my frontal lobe, and I still had the same brain from when I lived in sin, same heart, same musculoskeletal system. And I had a lot of questions. I had a lot of questions of, I want to obey what this word, this Bible says, and I had no idea. I didn't know I had 66 books. I didn't know what the Old Testament and New Testament were. But I knew I wanted to live out what was in there. And I had this brain fighting against it constantly. Because at that point, I didn't know before it was a pornography addiction, but I was living a life of just pursuing lust. And like, I'm a alpha heterosexual male that like, I'm thankful God created sex, but I had no containment of that and no understanding of how God created it actually. And again, to every listener on the planet that will ever hear anything that I say, God's ways are to be celebrated. They are the best. Sex inside of a relationship that is a covenant before God that worships him with that sex is the best sex on the planet. Like, it is to be like fight for purity, win that, and then constantly fight for purity in that, because it is the best sex on the planet. But I didn't know that at the time. I just knew I wanted to follow God. And now I have to train my brain how to think about sex. But I had to deal with a pornography addiction. So
I remember when I had a similar moment when I came back to the Lord, because I had a hiatus too, but I had previously grown up into it, grown up with the Lord. And I remember I cried out. I was in a bed, but I felt the Lord's presence come into the room, and that changed and marked my life forever. Kind of like you said, you're almost feeling like what heaven's going to be like for a split moment. And I remember thinking after coming out of that experience, wow, this is going to be like a daily thing. This is the coolest thing ever. Like I'm going to feel God's love like this tangibly. But I went up to a church 2 days later and gave my heart to the Lord, like walked to the altar. And then right after that, my immediate next thought was, God, there's a lot of pretty women in here. Which one's for me? That's literally what. So I went from surrendering to Jesus to starting to figure out, okay, what's the game?
Because you're gonna hunt.
Yeah,
you're gonna find
a great
I
battle
can totally
plan.
relate. Yeah.
It
takes time. Like it took time to after that to come out of the mindset and living in the way of the world just daily. It takes time of renewing yourself through scripture, through prayer, through fellowship, before you can it's like building a muscle, it takes time to get stronger. Yeah.
And it's an interesting journey. And I I go through that. I get saved. I go to church and I ask guys about some of those questions of, hey, like I'm saved. I want Jesus and I want to know him. But I'm also like massively interested in women. And I also have a problem. Like I didn't know to put like a suit of shame on. I wasn't ashamed of anything. Like, golly, like what do you guys do about this? Like, are you horny all the time? And they'd be like, oh, this guy.
They're like, do we have a pamphlet for this? Yeah.
And I just say all the time, like I just had these rated R, rated X struggles and issues, and guys were talking to me in rated G language and like expecting me to live a rated G life. And I was really taken back by it. And I just saw there was a need for like true, just like the people that I had seen in that small area of Florida, I was like, oh, there's a need for like understanding of masculinity. Because it started with me. I had no idea. So I just took the Bible and I read it cover to cover and saw wild stories, like illustrations Ezekiel used of
like the Bible's X-rated when you
whoa. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, you used that as a sermon illustration, God? Like I was so perplexed of like, you are not afraid. And when I realized that God was going to sit with me in my X-rated struggle and my X-rated temptation, and love me as a totally pure, the God that created everything, and he was going to lead me into righteousness, which I think for men is a rated R life. And we see things talking about going into wars and battle scenes, and it doesn't mean we have to be those rated R people in our lives, but you're going to see constant rated R things as a follower of Christ. And God's like, I'm going to take you there and I'm going to give you the strength to be pure in the face of it. And man, it changed my life.
And that's one of the things that, just getting to know you over the last couple of hours is he wired you that way for a reason.
Yeah.
Because he instilled in you all of that strength and that courage, which is actually tattooed on your arm. Strength and courage in Hebrew. Yeah.
Let's go.
Because you were going to lead men out of bondage. Because it's really bondage when you break it down, what those things are. Porn, lust. It's the enemy trying to take the man out of his calling. By distracting him. The enemy walks the earth like a lion, seeking who he may devour. Yeah. It's not fluffy, cuddly stuff here. So it's important that you are able to be tactical with how you talk to men, and you have that gifting, walking the life that you have. Yeah. So you're in the military and you have
I have a question.
Oh, yes, love.
Okay, just hopping on to what y'all are saying. So two things. One, because sin has so much power when it's in the dark and there's shame, but when you shine the light on it, it loses a lot of its stronghold. Yeah. How did you navigate coming from this lifestyle of partying to purity?
Yeah.
How did you get freedom?
With boldness. Like I just said to any guy out there, like asking that question, it's being bold. Like I was bold as a sinner, and I'm bold as a man of God to say, hey, what do you do about this? And I'd ask them like, guys, help me. Like, don't leave a man behind here. Like I'm struggling with this. This can't be the normalcy in the life of a believer, correct? And I just think you have to be so bold for what you believe to say you don't want to tolerate Hebrews 12, right? Like Hebrews 11, we're going to think of all of these amazing people that have gone before us. And in that context, we're going to think of the ones that succeeded and the ones that that will see success later and got tortured. But Hebrews 12 talks about we need to strip off every single weight that we have and every sin. So I think there's just that freedom and that boldness to say, hey, I'm training for a 100-mile race and I have a 40-pound backpack on. Do you run with a 40-pound backpack too? Because this really is hurting my joints. And you're like, no, bro, you could take that off. Yeah. Oh, it's so much easier to run without this backpack on. Running is still hard, but it's now more doable. And the war for purity, when men are bold with each other, because this is how it goes. Good. Every single time I've been with a guy that is confessing to me a pornography addiction, like they start to whisper, hey man, so I've been...
It's shame.
It's shame. It's like, hey, I want to shout from the rooftops. Like God created you as to delight in sex. Like God, here's the magnificent thing. I understand the purpose of Microsoft Excel, but I'm glad God didn't say, I'm going to create humans to then create humans with a Microsoft Excel document. God literally said, I'm going to make the most beautiful part of humanity start with an orgasm. That was God's intention. That's
pretty dope.
It's really dope. Yeah. Like, wow. God, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for doing that. And it's not the perfect Excel sheet with the perfect formula that every married couple has to figure out. It starts with an orgasm and it's beautiful and it's magnificent. And the enemy wants to destroy that and make guys not understand the purpose of it. And then he wants to clothe them with shame instead of the armor we're supposed to walk in.
Because one of those tactics that it can do is it can get guys away from even wanting to be married.
Yeah.
And pursue that because they're like, oh, I can just get all of this over here.
Yeah.
Why do I need the covenant of marriage? And it's a problem because then the enemy wants to ultimately destroy families.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it's an attack on man, but it's an attack on families and creation of families, which is why at some point, like I like that point about families starting with an orgasm. It's like, this is God's design and he designed it for this way for a purpose.
For a purpose. And it's wonderful. Like, taste and see that God is good. Let's start with every man dealing with a pornography addiction and every woman. Like, I deal with a ton of like, hey, I struggle with this too. It's a human brain condition, and Satan loves to destroy humans with sexual destruction and destructive thoughts. To say, no, this is actually God's creation. So when guys are like, yeah, I have a porn addiction. It's like, bro, you and like, let's read the research. Like 97% of church attending men are dealing with something on this level. Oh, cool. Like, welcome to brotherhood.
Right.
I'm going to text you. Like, I'm going to look at your phone and your history. There's freedom here. And Christ gives you the strength. We're going to pray together. You're going to experience that healing. We're going to walk through this. But take that 40-pound backpack off, man. Like, let's run without that. It's really great. You're still going to have to run, but you're going to do it with a lot less weight and without the bondage, without Satan just like completely warring to destroy your soul.
And one of the shameless plugs I'm going to give before this one is a book that Cody wrote called 21 Days to Freedom from Porn, The Dragon Hunt.
I like that name.
So tell us about this and where people can go purchase them. I'm sure Amazon.
This is on Amazon, and there's a warning on this one. There's a warning label on all of my books, but this one is for married men only. It came from my frustration with seeing the enemy destroy men with pornography, because I tell people all the time, if you're dealing with an addiction, it's a spiritual problem and it's a spiritual stronghold. It's not a neurological, like there's no neurological solution for spiritual problems. And we have a lot of the Christian church that's dealing and trying to deal with psychological or neurological to solve spiritual problems. We're believers, like we are spirit beings, like the answer is Jesus, and he wins and he knocks those strongholds off. But that book, I had to go to a darker place to write it. It's kind of like This Present Darkness and C.S. Lewis's Screw Tape Letters and The Oath written together in 21 days. So this demon, the dragon, is training these other demons how to destroy a man, and they're actually in the active pursuit of destroying a married man with pornography.
Wow.
And there's angels trying to help this man and stop him. But it gets really, really real, and you need to walk through it with other guys, because it's like, oh yeah, I'm a dude. Like in the story, the guy's like, he's horny, lays over to his wife and tries to like shoot his shot. She's like, I'm tired. And I make it very clear, this is not a female, male, this is a spiritual attack. And I highlight the woman in it because I'm married and I love my wife so much, and there's certain things we have to learn, but I just illuminate how the demon of division will attack in that process. So it's this really dark attack. And then my favorite day is day 21, because then the king steps in and wins the war.
Love it.
But it's 21 days. If guys go through it, they will experience the freedom Christ has, and they'll walk through it with other men. But I just got frustrated to see like guys trying to be neurological or psychological with a spiritual attack, and Satan's just standing over them, like stranglehold on them, and they're trying to fix it with the next Brene Brown book out there. It's like, guys, that's great reading. I love Brene Brown, like awesome. But you need to understand that Satan and his demons trying to choke your life out of anything that emanates Christ in it. So you have to wake up, and that book wakes men up.
That's good.
Yeah. And one of the things I remember hearing you talk about is there's usually a deeper root to pornography addiction. Yeah. What would you say that is?
You know, what I found, I have a graduate degree. I don't have a PhD. I never want one. What I found in the combat of the masculine soul. So I do movies. I love movies. I think in terms of movies a lot. One of my favorite movies actually is Wonder Woman. One of my favorite scenes of any movie I've ever seen spiritually is, have you guys seen Wonder Woman?
Yeah, I have.
She loves that movie.
So good.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
So good. Okay, so there's a scene
Gal
where
Gadot, right?
It's Gal Gadot.
Yeah, that's the one I'm
So
saying.
it's World War I, and all these guys are in the trench, and they're explaining to Wonder Woman, we've been here for 13 months, and we've only advanced an inch. And I mean, like, how demoralizing would that be as a group of
Tough.
men? And she listens to them, kind of, and she puts her armor on and she's just listening to them and looking at them. And she gets up out of that ravine and just sprints at the enemy. And just like all the guys see her courage and what she's doing and just like sprint after them. And what has taken them 13 months to get an inch, she just sprints and they take the enemy stronghold. And it's so great in the picture of what this is and pornography addictions and strongholds. Say, man, the moment you put on the armor of Christ and start running forward, that like you'll take the hill. That stronghold will be no more. And Satan hates the reality of that. He wants guys to lay in that pit thinking you're going to live a life of inches of advancement when you could suit up in God's strength and go take the hill. And we just have to get there for men, for women to say, hey, let's be honest with this. Like, it's hard. Like, as a guy, there's a lot of temptation, and I'm never ignorant to it because we read about David. I'm 40. David screwed up his entire life at 50. So it's being aware that, like,
be sober and vigilant, like Peter says, and just stay humble. Like, you need God.
Stay humble. Yeah, like there's an example in the Bible where an angel kills by himself 185,000 people.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And I believe it's when Hezekiah is waiting for God to deliver them. But we have dudes thinking they can just take on demons without being clothed in Christ. Like you will, like the book of Acts, you'll get beat naked and sent out of the house running without your dignity. We have to understand, and that's where that book comes from. The demon hunt, or the dragon hunt, is getting men to understand victory is possible. But with anything that we go through in this life, victory is impossible if you're not walking in Christ and with people that are actual like brothers or sisters in Christ with you.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to, like, if we're, girlfriends we're talking to, you need to know where Satan can destroy my life. And I got sick of it with like going to men's ministry events and going to, I'll never forget a conversation I had with a guy. I just asked him, like, dude, I was on the speaking circuit at the time, so men's conferences, events for 3.5 years is what I did. And I was asking this dude, we're in the green room, and like, I was like, so like, do you struggle with porn when you're traveling? No, dude, I struggle more with looking at ESPN than I do porn. And I remember thinking like, I don't believe that. Like, I don't believe that. That's not real. And that guy ended up having a really serious problem with it later. Yeah. And I just think there has to be a culture of like, man, let's be honest with each other.
Honesty, transparency. Yeah. Because there's strength in that.
Yeah,
it's like it's hard to do it, but there's strength in it.
Yeah, and the older I get, like, if there's a bad guy coming in this room, I'm like, let's go fight him together.
Right.
Like, I don't have to show off to anybody. You're stronger with more numbers. So, like, don't fight the work of the enemy by yourself.
I love that we're having this conversation because, in today's society, I think there is, because there's so much demasculation going on.
Yes.
Of men. There has been a rising up of men wanting masculinity and masculine role models, but then you have this offshoot, and you're kind of hitting this topic where it's like there could be masculinity without Christ, and that's going to be harmful as well.
Yep.
And so you think about like the red pill movement and these people, I'll just say names like Andrew Tate, and they're not godly at all, and they're saying sleep with as many women as you want, and I think he actually produces porn. I think he got in trouble for that. I don't follow him very closely, obviously, but
I think it was something like he was having
human trafficking.
Yeah, and then he was having, but guys were text messaging as girls.
Yeah.
Anyways, sketchy guy. Yeah. But all these men were looking up to him because he was being very outspoken, and he was talking about masculinity, and so I think there is a hunger in men for that, and so contrast worldly masculinity to biblical masculinity.
Yeah,
that's a great question.
That's a great question. It's really simple. Like, one looks like Jesus and one doesn't. And Jesus is the perfect picture of masculinity. So if we had a whole bunch of men that could work to walk in Christ's strength to look like Jesus, who had righteous anger, I'm sure had an incredible sense of humor. Like,
he was funny.
Right? I mean, like,
and he was a beast. I mean, he was a carpenter. So that's
strong.
Like
those are strong humans.
Strong.
Like, he just fasted for 40 days.
Yeah, that's nuts. I struggle with 3.
Yeah,
I'm like,
really 72 hours
out in the
brutal.
desert.
72 hours is long, dude.
It's long, and he just goes
days.
40 and then combats with Satan at the end of it.
Yeah.
And, I mean, just
That's
this
powerful.
Yeah, so that is the picture of, like, you hear guys like Jocko Willink, who I love his podcast, and talk about what masculinity is. But if you leave Jesus out of that, you always are falling into a category of trying to prove yourself. And Jesus, when you walk with Jesus as a man, it's not having to prove yourself. It's being able to sit metaphorically just naked with him and him saying, "You're my son."
Yeah.
Like, you are accepted and loved just as you are. So you work from a place of acceptance, where the world masculinity, it says you need to do this to be masculine. And good grief, that's brutal, because the moment you open up social media, it's like you have Andrew Tate telling you have to sleep with 1,000 women to be like a true man. Or like, you can open it up really fast. I'm a I was an air crewman, Navy veteran, but all of a sudden you open it up and it's like you have all these former Navy SEALs going through these programs. And if you want to be a man, you got to go through this 50-hour crucible. And all those are good. Like, I have a lot of friends that are that put those on. But if you have to work to prove yourself, and if you're a man listening, like, if you're working to prove yourself, that's not from God's kingdom.
Yeah. That's
His
good.
kingdom is so freeing of I am, therefore I do. It's not what I do is therefore who I am. And man, it's so freeing when it's like, my dad loves me and he created me and he's proud of me. Okay, cool. Let's go take that hill. Like, let's go do what Jesus in 1 John 3:8, Jesus came to destroy the work of the enemy. That's cool. Let's do that. But let's not do it. Like, I'm not going to try to impress you in the process. I'm going to do it from brotherhood and from my acceptance with Christ. I'm going to fail. I'm going to say things you don't like, and I'm going to have to apologize. And like, I'm going to get short, and I'm going to, like, but if we are working in Christ together, you're going to know that already. Hey, bro, I'm sorry I screwed up. That's fine. Don't do it again. Like, don't be stupid. But that's fine. Let's keep going.
Yeah. And what's interesting is this, if men could embrace that identity of sonship and acceptance in Jesus, then they would be so much healthier emotionally, and they could go out in that masculinity, but have that balance of being grounded in him. And even talking about identity, when Jesus was tempted in the wilderness, it was over his identity. It's like, if you really are, the devil is trying to get him to prove himself. And he was like, I'm not falling into this trap. He knew who he was. What's interesting,
really good.
Cody, is like, even listening to your testimony, like, the thing that I've picked up is that there was a real sense of wanting identity and purpose. And you finding that finally after kind of traveling and fulfillment, going down all these different roads, you found, and you keep speaking about identity in him and acceptance in him. How important is it to understand that you are a child of God and have that relationship where you can not only be vulnerable with the Lord, but have that unconditional love?
Yeah, I think it's everything. And I've seen it. So I was on the professional speaking circuit, and I can tell you names that you can Google that people that are in jail the rest of their lives for falling to sex and meeting up with young kids. And I mean, you guys are in professional ministry. You see Satan destroy these lives. Guys I knew personally would speak on the circuit with, having affairs with multiple women in multiple cities while we're sharing the same hotel room, and like going down to the lobby and hooking up. And you see if this is the hardest thing in the world to see, where Christianity, being a good Christian, becomes your standard of acceptance and not who you are in Christ, then you're going to be constantly, rather than trying to prove yourself, you're going to be hiding things, because you're going to think that this standard of Christianity is what you expect me to be. And man, if you expect perfection out of me, I'm going to let you down, but I'm not going to tell you. It's going to cause shame in me. And you're going to think like, oh, and I think one of the worst things like that guys can do is find identity in being like, without sin, right? And
that's like, so true. I'm sorry. That's just so good to hear. I've seen that. And that is a big opening to trouble.
It's a big opening to trouble. So when you hear that and you see that, you're like, oh, that's so scary, because my identity is a son of God who, like, when that is, I wrote a devotional, and I actually never wrote it to be a devotional, which is really fascinating. Yeah, SoulCon Warrior 365.
I'm excited for this. It's like Jesus Calling, but for warriors.
But yeah, for you.
But it's so cool, because I never wrote it to be a book. And if you would have told me like, hey, write at 306, it's actually 366 days in it, but it's not as marketable with 366 days. But I would never want to do it. But I wrote it to help me through a season of depression that I went through. It was about 7.5 months of like super strong depression. And
when was that in your life?
A year ago.
Wow.
So like following the Lord, and all of a sudden,
Did it just come out of nowhere?
Nowhere. And it was wild. It was this new thorn in my flesh that I had. And
how did you navigate that?
Whoa, it was really tough. And it was really tough where all of a sudden I was a guy that was dealing with mental health issues. And
did you feel hopeless, like that kind of depression?
Yeah, well, it felt like I was on a treadmill going 10 miles an hour, and there was no hope of getting off of it, and nobody was like paying attention to me in it.
Oh no.
And it was like I was communicating with people, but even though like, and it's so true, it breaks your heart when you talk to another guy and be like, hey, I'm actually really struggling with depression. I don't know what to do. Most guys don't know how to deal with it. They're like, oh, all right, man, well, I'll see you at small group this weekend.
Yeah. You're going to be at pickleball later? Yeah.
It's like, oh. Or they do what Job's friends did. And they're like, you must be doing something wrong. Like you must, Cody fell back into pornography. It's got him. And people love to gossip about people that are honest and bold.
Because then that discourages you from being honest and bold.
It does.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I'm just so stupid. I don't care enough. So it's really a weird thing of like, so I would literally just sit with the pain and ask Dad to heal it. And
oh, that's good though. That's how you deal with it.
Yeah. And it was really, so this book comes from that. I actually had to learn how to hear from God when he wasn't speaking to me. I could feel his presence, but I didn't hear him.
That's powerful.
And so what the Lord told me, and this is really an interesting thing for me, is that I saw the humor in it. I love the Lord's conversation. He had a conversation with me about Paul and how much Paul liked to speak. And so much so a kid fell out of the window and died, and he brought him back to life, and Paul kept teaching. And the Lord asked me, do you think we'd have the New Testament if Paul wasn't in prison? I was like, that's a really interesting question. Like, how am I supposed to answer this theologically? Because I know you can do all things, right? But like, I felt like it was the Lord asking that to say, probably not. Like
that's
about
what I was
2/3
thinking.
of it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
What would Paul have done? He would have spoke.
Right. He was teaching and traveling.
And
you'd have been pouring into like the people.
And the Lord taught me in that time how to deal with seasons of imprisonment of your soul. When all of a sudden it just
powerful.
It changed my life to say all of a sudden you go from like rocking and rolling, and it still looks like you're rocking and rolling on the outside, but all of a sudden the imprisonment of your soul happens with a new thorn in your flesh. So I had to write. And I was like, what does a man need to know in this? Like, what do I need to know in this?
Right. You were doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
Really.
And I have over 700 devotionals. I was writing them on my phone to myself.
I just read today's and it already spoke to me. So that was pretty
so cool.
Yeah.
The Oswald Chambers is today. It's one of my favorites.
I was going to say, how'd you know? But you wrote it. So.
Yeah. So it's so cool because I'm like, I love quotes, but it starts with God talking to his son. So I was prophetically writing to myself, and I'd actually say it out loud. And so I'd write through some of these devotionals as God talking to me as son. And then from that, there's a scripture and there's a challenge and then a warrior prayer. I'd have to remind myself, hey, you're a warrior. You do what's right no matter how you feel. So get out and go do it.
Kind of like telling yourself to kind of keep moving forward regardless of how you feel.
But you're not a warrior in God's presence. This is the thing that I have to remind myself all the time. When you can go into God's presence on this earth, the study of God's armor is fascinating. In God's presence, we don't need armor. And I think a lot of men forget that. We can sit with him naked as possible because we don't have anything to like fear with him. We have the holy reverence of fear of God, but we don't have anything to be scared of with Dad. We can sit with him as vulnerable as possible. We don't have to have all of this armor to go fight Satan. We can sit with him. And that's what changed my life, is when I could sit with Dad as son. And then my purpose on this earth is to be a warrior for his kingdom, but not in his presence be a warrior in his kingdom. So I could sit there and I could cry, like ugly cry of like, this hurt, man, like this hurt my feelings. Like,
yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm like a dude that doesn't cry, that is now going through this. Like I cry all the time.
Yeah.
Like what happened? But I can sit with Dad and he's not going to judge me. And then there's a moment where time with Dad is over. Now you still have to be a man and go take care of what you need to do.
Was there a moment in time where you felt like the depression broke off or lifted, or was it just over time
Gradual.
Yeah, through the process of refinement the Lord was doing with you, it just faded.
Yeah, it's like it all of a sudden it kind of went away, but
Yeah.
it will come back. But I'm telling you, as an actor, it makes me like 10 times more powerful as an actor because I can connect.
You can connect to it.
Yeah, and like I didn't used to be able to connect with people empathetically through like mental and emotional pain with that, and now I can sit in an audition and like connect with that character and just cry about what he's facing with, and it's like total action.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah.
Like so. Really cool part of being an actor. I wrote my first script, which God has put on my heart. I'm going to shoot this next year, which is like crazy action movie. It's really cool. But I wrote this script as the first. I've written 8 books. I've never written a script. And the Lord helped me understand through an entire script, which is really fun. Everything in that script has a purpose. Every coffee cup has a purpose. Everything in every scene has a purpose to tell the story that the writer wants the person watching the movie to emotionally experience. Like 300 changed my life.
Yes.
I was active duty in the military. We went and watched that thing
Me too,
on a deployment.
Dude. What movie? What guy did that shit not change his life? Everyone's like, I want to be that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was so crazy. So like
Coolest
we were
movie.
deployed. We went and saw that, and we ended up in the gym at 10:30 p.m. after watching it.
Yeah.
And working out. And it's like, that was like the picture of like, I mean, it was really cool, but I always say like storytelling is about emotionally impacting the person watching it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what movies are. Like I want to impact you emotionally to make a physical change in your life. So the Lord allowed me to see that with making movies and stories, and to make any great story, you have to have moments of like really hard pressing where it seems impossible, really high conflict. It feels like the wheels are going to fall off. But to emotionally connect with humans, and this is what God has allowed me to see, to emotionally connect with people, you have to walk through pain with them. And a character has to show that pain on film. But writing a script changed my life with that too, of understanding like scene 34 isn't the end of a movie. Typically it's like scene, like get to page 100 and the movie's over. But like just continue watching the movie. Most movies would suck, especially action movies, if you stop like 15 minutes into it. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, like the Rocky series is really lame if you quit there.
Yeah. You have to go all the way through, which I still haven't shown you 4 and 5.
You haven't shown me any of them.
You haven't seen any of them?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
It's probably
He's
because
given
they're
me
so
such an education.
They're so sacred to me.
They're so sacred. My kids haven't seen them yet either.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
about to
It's like
go.
it's just like
You gotta be the right moment, right time.
Yeah, we've had
Because if you're like, I don't like it, you ruin our soul.
Yeah, I would be broken forever if you didn't like it. But I honestly think you would. You have good taste.
Thanks.
I wanted to ask
It's like
you.
a humble brag.
It is humble brag. You have good taste.
You have great taste. Probably the best I've ever seen.
When did you decide that acting was something that you're interested in? Like, what point in your career? You're in the military, I'm assuming, when you make that decision, or
No. So I got out of the military and I thought I knew what my calling was, and it was really interesting. I try to tell everybody and I plead with everybody that who you are is like completely won't change in your life. Like who Christ has made me is a son that's accepted and adopted into his family. He's never going to take my adoption away from me. Like I have friends that have adopted kids, and like they don't go to your room or else you're going to lose your adoption in this family. Like God doesn't do that to us. And it set me free to say, oh, I can be a son. And it makes me, when I screw up, I sprint to Dad to sit with him and say, Dad, I need your help. I'm sorry. But he doesn't have an expectation on me to be perfect. Like he's like, hey, be holy, right? Like I'm holy, but I'm going to give you the tools to do that. And you have Jesus, the empathetic high priest, to walk through you with that. I think the masculine soul just comes to life when we know we don't have to be Jesus to anybody. I mean, like we can be like him and show the love of him to people. But I'm still, like, as a Christian, I've been a Christian since I was 18, on fire for the Lord. I'm still learning to like people. I don't know if I love everybody yet.
Yeah.
Same here. I'm with you, brother.
I appreciate that vulnerability, though. And it goes back to just being vulnerable instead of trying to put on some kind of image that's going to end up causing damage in the long run. Another thing I wanted to hit on that I think is really important, and this is what comes to mind for like biblical masculinity, is meekness. I think about like Moses, I think about Jesus, and it's having strength, but it's strength that's under submission to God and clothed in humility. And, strength isn't just popping off or, getting into a fight, but it's saying like, even when someone wrongs you, like thinking about how Jesus was wronged and yet he humbled himself to the point of death on the cross.
Yeah.
And I think that's real biblical masculinity is embracing that strength, but submitting that strength to God. Yeah,
which is so cool. And I answer both questions at the same time. So where did my call to acting come from? And that meekness. It's understanding like the word picture of meekness is that bridled war horse to say like Jesus has the control of us, a war horse, like, but he always can turn it anytime he wants to. And who we are in Christ is daughter and son, and that should mean everything to us always. But what he calls us to do is going to change. And there's going to be different times where it's like speaker, you're going to go into the corporate world. Like for me, I was, top secret in the military. Then I did work in the corporate world. Then I was, corporate world and full-time student and finished through my graduate degree and writing a book and 2 little kids. So he met me and I had kind of defied the odds of impossible. All my books are self-published. And I had a big offer from one of the second biggest Christian publisher in the world. And he read SoulCon, actually wrote about it in his magazine. The SoulCon Challenge changed his life. And came to me. It was the bottom one. So that was, and came to me and said, hey, I want to publish it, but I need you to make it for men and women. And he was a great dude. He's just, he's like, but books to men don't sell.
Oh, I love that it was warning for men only.
I know.
That's the best part.
Which is so cool.
Men need something for them.
They do. And I was wrestling with him with this of like, are you kidding me?
It's not going to be the same.
It's not going to be the same. And he said, I won't do it because just the data has to go. But he said, your book changed my life. And he wrote about it in his magazine. And I just had to, for me, I had to really go down a journey of, as a speaker, when I stepped into that, God called me to write a book to men and then speak to men, which was a dying industry, like men's ministry and men's speakers. It's usually a pastor that does it on the side, which is amazing. But God was calling me into full-time men's ministry work and write a book to men. And I literally, my first day of that, family, friends, all of my marketing campaigns, I sold 17 copies. And I think 15 at least were family members. I was devastated. It took me 5.5 years to write it. And I was devastated. And I literally cried myself to sleep. And I woke up and I said, Dad, what do you want me to do? Like, he said, just keep going.
Yep.
And I mean, like, I started my speaking career. I'd drive 5 hours and there'd be 3 guys waiting to hear me speak. And I'd speak to those 3 guys as faithfully as I could. And I'd start to see it. And 6 months later, I spoke at a conference with 3,500 people and I had a video go viral. And that book took off.
Wow.
And the whole series just like took off in impacting and changing hundreds of thousands of lives and families. But I think when God calls us to something, he calls us to be and then to do in the area that we're in. And it was men's ministry. And I started to see it really succeed. And then I was on vacation with my family and I was walking and I felt a gust of wind hit my chest and there was no wind. And I'm like, that was really weird. And I was like, Lord, are you trying to talk to me? Like that, there was no air conditioning gust here. It was really early in the morning. I was going to lift before the day at the beach. And he calls me out. He says, hey, will you follow me into the depth of the ocean? I was like, that's a terrifying ask. Like, what you already called me to men's ministry. Like we built it and established it. I'm doing it full time. Like what's more depth of the ocean than that? It took me 20 minutes. I sat down and I have a picture exactly where I was at. It took me 20 minutes and he called me from that point to be a filmmaker and an actor.
And
so that's where that came from.
And how old were you there? Or when was that?
So that was, a good question, 2017.
Okay.
So that would have been 8 years ago.
Yeah.
2018, maybe. So we answered that call and I wrestled with the Lord on it of like, I thought actors were sissies. It's like, they don't real fight. Like I'm not. Like, I'm not a sissy, God. Like, come on.
You got the wrong guy. Yeah.
Well, and two, like, people who get into acting, they want to do acting. And you weren't seeking for that, you know? So there was a wrestling there.
That's why I wanted to ask the question, because
I'm glad you did, because I didn't know that. I just thought that was something you did.
I was terrified to tell my wife. Like, can you imagine? You've never talked about acting once.
And then all of a sudden,
what did your wife say?
You already have kids at that age, so you're like, hey, I'm going to become an actor.
Yeah. And she's like, let's do it.
Oh,
so
that's
cool.
a good
I was like-
spouse.
I was like, you're crazy. This is where like you fight me and you
Yeah,
say no.
yeah, yeah. You're supposed to say no, so I go back to God and
Yeah,
negotiate.
like- Because why an actor if I'm called to communicate? And the Lord just allowed me to see that how movies communicate to the masculine soul.
Oh,
true.
totally.
Totally.
The
And
best content
Totally.
for me, I think,
God's
is movies.
spoken-
I show her that all the time.
God's spoken to me so deeply through movies.
so much.
If they're the right ones there. And there's
There's so many good ones, but it's such an impactful way to change and impact emotions, right? Like as a speaker, the best thing that I can do technically on a stage is to get you to emotionally think about something in your life. The best movie makes you think about yourself in that scene.
Totally.
So it's
Yep.
just, like you get lost in it, right? Like one of my best friends made the movie with Kurt Warner. So Andy Irwin directed it. I love Andy. American Underdog. Oh, so good. If you guys haven't seen it, so good.
I
I
haven't.
don't know if I've seen that.
So he's the director. He owns Kingdom Story.
Okay.
He's the director of I Can Only Imagine 2 that's coming out. Unbelievable. But you watch that story of Kurt Warner. You guys got to watch it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah,
I'm
we will.
just crying watching it. He has this dream and now he's working in a grocery store and like overlooked and he can't provide for his family. And then like he wins the Super Bowl and he's in the NFL Hall of Fame. It's a cool story to say like, hey, when God calls you and leads
I know
you,
that story.
it's
Sorry.
so you guys
Sorry,
got to
I
watch it.
interrupted it. I just
Yeah.
it clocked in my mind. So you're saying as God leads you.
Yeah, like you're gonna the best if your life doesn't have moments like that and you don't have those stretches of God, where are you? I'd be really nervous because God prepares those hearts through like if you have a destiny that's gonna impact people and a calling, you're gonna go through those times where
Yeah.
all of a sudden your soul feels imprisoned by like, I want to quit. Like I think that conversation with Jesus and Peter and all the apostles was more like, where else would we go? Like he's like, you guys want to leave too? I don't know if that was like starry-eyed, Jesus, where else would we go? I think it's just like, are you kidding me, man? We've
Right.
burned everything else. I don't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah,
Of
there
course
was
I'm
no
gonna follow
other
you.
option. Yeah.
I've been there multiple times in following Jesus of like, if I could quit, I would. But you're so good. And this is so hard. So that's what I realized with acting, of him calling me into that. And that's how it started.
One of our favorite songs right now talks about our backup plan is to get back up again.
That's the only backup plan you need.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
It
I know.
is.
So it's like
Yeah.
our family anthem
It's our
right now.
family anthem.
And even my boys love it too.
They do.
But
That's
it's just
so cool.
It's important as believers that
Yeah.
you have to get back up because the Lord is refining us. And those hardships, like for example, the depression, if we just take that example, that was allowed to take place with you because he was refining you and birthing something new that would touch many lives. And one of the things that I encourage Rebecca all the time and myself is that he allows these things to take place or to happen, these circumstances, not because he's out to get us or he's taking his eye off the ball, he's not paying attention. It's because he's refining us and preparing us for ministry or whatever it is, life. And you have to experience that.
And you have
know
to
how
trust
minister from
him
it.
in the midst of it.
Yeah.
And not give up hope.
And the older I get, the more I relate with Jacob than David. Like I used to think like rock Kazakh, send me into the battlefield. Like I'm strong and courageous. And like I feel more like Jacob of like exactly what you guys are saying is so hard of when God's like, hey, you failed. Get back up. It's like, no, I failed. I never want to do that ever again. That hurt really bad. And God's like, yeah, get back up.
I still have a purpose for you.
I still have a purpose for you. And sometimes he'll call you to the same thing, but he's going to call you to like, hey, that was learning for you. And that was intended. Or maybe it was just totally stupid, but he's a good father to us. Like he's going to take you in and he's like, so I still have that destiny for you. Let's go do it. This time do it fully with me and not by yourself. And that is brutal. Like when your backup plan is getting back up again.
Right. But one of my life verses, and it's engraved on my iPad that's like from 2014 or something. So I don't even know if that iPad still exists. But God works all things together for good for those who are called according to his purposes.
Yeah.
And just reminding myself
Yeah, it's good. It's a good
that
reminder.
we're called. I'm called. I know that. My identity is in him. and he's going to work everything together for good, not by my might or by my power, but by his.
Yep.
So we're going to link all of these books because, I don't want people to have to like scroll back and forth. We'll link them all in the description. But this one is a breakdown, SoulCon Warrior Elite. So is this...
It's the sequel to SoulCon Challenge.
Okay,
so it's
cool.
the next 6 weeks. So,
6 weeks challenge, and then this is another 6 weeks.
Yeah, and it's cool because before even acting, I wrote it more like you're going through like a movie. So you show up to this fictional training camp with all these guys, and you get to know them through the process. There's daily challenges. That sequel, they come back out, and you get to know them more. So guys that were struggling have had success. Some guys failed. And you get to see authentic brotherhood. So it's taking you on a journey while giving you things like max push-ups day, 48-hour fast day in that one, which is like most guys read it and they're like, "Are you kidding me?
48 hours? That's my sweet spot right there."
Yeah, it's like once you cross over into 72, you're hurting really bad, but 42 is not super bad.
And what I find about fasting, I don't know, but I hear the Lord like after the 24th hour.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's cool.
It's really cool.
Like when you've taken that everything away and you're just sipping on water or electrolytes, there's a lot of noise that goes, and your communion with God is just sharper. Yeah. And he speaks quickly.
Yeah, so, and it's really good for guys to remind, like, hey, masculinity, Christianity comes down to like listening and obeying. So if you're not spending time seeking God to listen to his voice, then you might not be able, like for me, it's him calling me to be an actor. My phone was off that whole vacation, not even turned on. Like I was completely disconnected from everything digitally.
Good for you.
And I could hear him really clearly.
Right.
And that's super important in our lives to say, man, yes, listen to God's word, speak his word out loud, but he's going to give you specific assignments that are custom to your DNA and your family's DNA that you cannot accomplish and obey unless you hear his voice. Mm-hmm. So that's what all those books are, is they get to the bottom of that.
Love it. We go on quarterly marriage retreats, Rebecca and I, and we put our phone away just so that we could have these conversations without any, because with 3 kids and work and all the things.
Especially little kids.
It's hard to sit down and get the amount of time you need to go deep on subjects and make sure everything is aligned.
Yeah, it's really good.
Well, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Really a pleasure to have you, and great to get to know you more.
Yeah, I look forward to it, bro.
We'll link all those books. I'm excited to go through them myself.
Yeah, I'm excited for you too. And yeah, I just want to echo what he's saying. Thank you so much. And thank you for what you're doing. And I'm excited to check these films out as well.
Then we'll do a quick push-up challenge off camera when we stop rolling.
Yeah, I'm in.
All right, let's go.